All right, looks like we might be live. Let's do some testing. And let's see. Do we got anybody in here? Let's get... I apologize, I haven't streamed in a while if you're watching. There's nobody watching. Who am I kidding? All right, here we go, maybe. All right. I apologize if you've been here for a second. Have not been on live in a hot minute. Here we go. Hello. All right, kind of an impromptu live stream. Apologies for the delay here. We'll get going here just a second. Still kind of sorting it out. If anybody wants to paste this in any chat, very appreciated. Let me see if I can get a link here, and then we'll get going. All right, everything looks to be public, and it looks okay. All right, let me post this in the chat, and we'll get right to it. Thanks for joining. All right, let's get it going. All right, let me know if you have any questions. I'm going to start with Bitcoin and kind of go down the list on the right here. So if I miss anything or something's not clear, feel free to ask. We'll do questions in just a minute. Also, let me know if you cannot hear me or, something's aloof besides me. All right, so the daily chart for Bitcoin, where are we now? Well, yesterday we printed this kind of doji candle. This usually signifies, more often than not, the top of a trend. What trend have we been in since, early July? That's the uptrend, right? So potentially, maybe the end of this. We will see. That was a not good candle to print on the daily chart. At the same time, we're kind of at this resistance level we've been testing for about 3 weeks now. So we're unable to really, push through with conviction. It doesn't mean we have to be done. It's just like it's kind of a warning shot, crypto wide, because if Bitcoin goes down, the rest of the market's likely going down with it. The Bollinger Bands also yesterday, right? See the Bollinger Bands here. See how the bottom line is starting to curve up, right? That's a sign of weakness as well. To get these big moves like we saw back July 18th here, right? Look at the bottom Bollinger Band, right? They're opening. The mouth is opening. We started to close a little bit, so there's certainly some warning signs of at least exhaustion on the uptrend. Maybe we consolidate for a little bit longer and then, continue. Maybe we just go sideways. Maybe we dip back down. The important thing to watch for if we go down is that low right there. We do not want to be breaking that, or this trend will, break, right? This will start a new trend, and that trend would be down. You want to maintain your higher lows. That would break it, right? So watch for that. We're kind of double top-ish area right now with this candle yesterday, even though it was a little bit higher technically. right? We could even, argue that on the weekly scale, the double top way back when, right? So let's put that on, right? This double top, right? A lot of people think that is a double top, which, you could argue that, right? So where are we on the weekly scale? Let's look at the bigger picture, the pros and cons, because you want to weigh both sides of the coin always. You don't want to be listening to someone that's always bearish or always bullish. You have to get both sides, and that is the way to do it. We battled. This is the 200 week in the orange, right? We've been battling to overtake that. We did back on, the last week of July. We closed above it, and we've kind of been on a squeeze play since then. This week, potentially, we're trying to close above the 8-week EMA. Let's see what the exact number is. It's as of right now, 23,533. So we have 2.5 days till we close that, right? If we do that, that's a good sign. If we don't, and we're just still down here, right? We're still on the fence. So don't make any big commitments to the market on longing without, the market committing to you. What I do like is this bottom Bollinger Band. See this, how it started flaring up here? So that tells me that at least temporarily we're trying to form a low here, right? So we're trying to move to the upwards direction or sideways for a little bit longer. If this was still aiming straight down, right, we could be in some trouble. So let's go back and look at history, and you can see that when these weekly bands kind of start closing, right, the uptrend could potentially start, right? Could this be the start of a bigger uptrend? Sure. Could we go to the 21 week? Sure. That's kind of our next big resistance level, which we can look at again on the daily in just a moment. But let's go back to the last bear market, right? Similar Bollinger Bands looking on the weekly, right? We fell down to the 200 week. I'm trying to squeeze it in now and then. Let me remove that arrow, right? So let's look at now and then, right? Look at the Bollinger Bands, how they fell, and then when was the bottom kind of in is when this band on the weekly chart started to close, at least temporarily. It doesn't mean we had to keep going up here. It doesn't mean this is going to happen again, but very similarities, right? Kind of around the 200 week, right? This time we went below it, first time ever. Now we rally back up to the 8-week EMA, right? Hold the resistance for several weeks, and then just basically trend slowly up or sideways for months, for a couple months. That's the most likely scenario, right? It's unlikely that we're going to have any kind of V-shaped recovery, a massive, right? There's no black swan event. This was a prolonged bear market, a little bit shorter than this one so far. We don't know how much longer it's going to last, but similarities, right? Things don't often repeat, but they do often rhyme. So far, so good on this for a rhyme, but it doesn't mean we can't basically trend from between 20K to 30K for the next 3 to 6 months, right? We could be in here for the rest of the year, and it wouldn't be that crazy, right? It wouldn't be that obtuse out of the rest of the market. Obtuse, word of the day. Having said that, right, speaking of the daily chart, let me zoom back in here. Right, see, our next major resistance, if we continue up here, is really this 30-day sideways consolidation, which I've talked about before in my other videos. Right, this is the major level, right, this area. If we push through, right, we have the 100-day in the blue here to get through, but that 21 week that we just looked at in the yellow, right, the weekly chart, it's right there. So you can zoom in here, look at the 21 week in the yellow, right? It's at the same spot that all this consolidation is, which on the weekly doesn't look that much, but on the daily chart, it's, much more significant. 30 days of sideways consolidation broken is big, and likely when you retest that level, it's going to act as very bigly resistance. So that's where we are. If we continue up, I would expect a bigger pause and hesitation there. But even that is starting to get iffy because of that, daily candle that printed yesterday should at least be a yellow caution light to those that are more bullish than bearish. That is a pump the brakes at least. So having got that out of the way, let's see what we got. Do we got any questions? Yeah, this is the first live stream in a hot minute. I think the last one was like March or April. So maybe we'll do more of these. Not really the market for live streams, but I recognize some of y'all. Appreciate you joining. So I had a question. If you have all your crypto on an exchange and you want to transfer to a wallet, are you talking about like I don't know, Celsius or one of the others? Who's the other one? Um, I'm sure one of y'all will find it. But no, if you can't, I mean, if it goes down, they have every right to keep it. That's when you signed up. Like Celsius, they have the right to your crypto if they go out of business. That's your disclosures that you signed and I signed. Yeah, all my crypto is still in Celsius. So yeah, we could go up to 30K. Someone says I think we'll touch 30K, chill for a quick bit, and then crash to 5K. I don't know about 5K, but um, there's no reason for 5K. Let's look at that. So there's a lot of people that wonder like where would the low be if we go back down, and what's the point of it? Well, let's go look at it. Right? What? Let me take off the Bollinger Bands because it makes things crazy on this kind of scale. So here we go. So 5K. Let's look at the logic for 5K. Could we go to 5K? It's right here. Okay, so why would there be a 5K? Because that was the closing candle for a Black Swan event? You know, not likely, right? You'd want to look for the most logical place based on TA, not anyone's opinion, based on a chart. So sometimes candles can be hard to read those levels. So put it on a line chart if you see that up there. So let's go look at kind of a logical place for a big support, many multiple tests. And that level just happens to be kind of right there, right? That's the logical place based on charting and TA alone, right? There's a touch point there. Multiple touch points spread far apart, right? This is at least the initial one. We should find some bigly support here. If we go down, right? It's a big if. I'm not saying we're going down here. But if we go down, this is the logical, at least first stop and major stop. Another touch point, July 2019. Another touch point there on the weekly scale, right? This is weekly. This isn't daily or the 4-hour or the 4-second chart, right? This is big. This is big time. So around 12K to 11K, something around in there, would be pretty significant. And you could even draw that as a kind of a zone if you wanted to. Like you want to draw a zone between. You could see all this, right? So maybe we go down to 10K, right? And it's another big if, right? You can see this peak here, right? A lot of the bottom of these peaks, right? That range zone, kind of the top of this, top of that, right? So somewhere between 10 to 12K makes the most sense based on the chart. 5K, it seems like mostly out of thin air, right? I don't see why we would drop that far, but that's just based on this chart. Maybe you could argue for some reason, but I'm all for any target that you all throw out as long as you have a reason to back it up. Remember back in school when you did your addition problems that you effed up on so many times and the teacher wanted to see your work, right? Show me why. Show me your work. What's the logical reason? So here's my logical reason, and that's based on this chart. If we go down here, right? There's no guarantee that we go down. You need to also be prepared for that. Anybody that's too deterministic on their thinking, you have to realize that there is a greater than zero possibility that the bottom is in. It might be 0.01 or it might be 1% in your mind, but there is a 1% chance, right? Or at least greater than 0% chance that the bottom is in. So realize that, okay? Hopefully the stream's doing good. It seems like it's in and out on my end. Is it looking okay? Someone type yes or no. All right, I'm still reading the comments, so if I'm looking one way like I'm a deer in the headlights, I'm just reading comments. Yeah, we're going to look at the DXY in a minute. Glad you brought that up. Sorry, I get dry mouth when I talk a lot. I recognize some long-term followers. Appreciate y'all. 4 a.m. New Zealand. Why are you up? Have you been to sleep or you wake up early? I want to talk about that too. Trust Industries. Are we still looking for a fifth wave down? I'm glad you said that. I'm going to look at the X. Let me look at that next, and then we'll go to the XY. Yeah, Voyager. That was the other one I couldn't think of. A lot of people got hit on Voyager as well for their crypto being locked. Accumulation zones. So anytime you're at the 200 week on Bitcoin or any asset, I mean the 200 week, think about that, what that means. For the past 200 weeks, the average price is at 200 weeks. Think about that. 50 weeks in a year. This is almost a 4-year moving average. So the price of Bitcoin for 4 years roughly has been around this level, right? So if you ever are at that level again, it's pretty safe bet to at least start to accumulate at those levels. So if you're ever wondering when would it be a good time to be, the 4-year average price, if you're ever under that, that seems like a logical place, right? So 4 years from now, you will likely, or even 1 year, usually you don't have to wait that long, right? 1 year after you're at the 200 week, usually, and by usually I mean every time, you're pretty happy, right? Minus black swan events, but still, recover still quickly. Even if you bought down in here, anywhere near the 200 week, right? Even black swan events, you're still pretty safe, right? So think about that, where we are now. I know it's difficult to, when you're looking at through a microscope, it's tough to see, the bigger picture, but realize where we are and that, these prices, in a few years from now will likely be, very good, right? So that's my touch on that. Okay, stream is good. Thank you. I keep getting warning signs from YouTube that it's, in and out, but whatever. All right, so I think we got enough of the questions. So let's go look at the fifth wave down. A lot of people wondering about that. There's a lot of talk about that. So I can put it back on candlestick charts or the line chart. I like the line chart time to time to find support and resistance. So I would suggest you try to use that if you've never done that. It's a lot easier to draw trend lines as well. Let me just touch on that again, right? So if you're looking at this, you're like, where do I draw a trend line? It's easier on the hourly. Let's look at the hourly real quick, just real quick. Okay. If you want to draw a trend line, trend lines are very subjective, but to make them much less subjective on where to draw them, put it on a line chart. It only shows the closing parts. So if you want to see an uptrend, right? I mean, look how clear and easy this is, right? You start there and you draw it from the peaks, right? That's a nice uptrend. A nice trend line at least. And then if you've drawn on your candles, right, it's hard to just spot that easy. So hopefully that helps you. If you've never seen that before, switch to a line chart if you're trying to draw trend lines, and you can draw them very accurately and very quickly. So hopefully that helps. Okay, now back to the weekly. Question about like if this is a fifth wave down, what does that mean? If you're talking about Elliott waves, right? So looking at this chart. So pretending that this was like the fifth wave up, right? We could either be in an ABC correction or this fifth wave. I've seen this floating around Twitter, right? There's leg 1, up leg 2, down leg 3, which it fits. This fits, right? Leg 3 is always the longest either direction. Leg 4, where we end. Let's pretend we go all the way to the 21 week leg 4. And then what about leg 5? What do we have to do? Are we gonna go way down? Right? Would that be the fifth wave? There's a chance, right? There's a chance that the fifth wave would go to that, 11 to 10K level, right? Say something like that. But there's something I talked about in my Telegram group yesterday that not a lot of people are aware of. There is a thing called an Elliott Wave theory called a truncation of a bear market truncation. So the Elliott Wave would actually be shorter. The fifth wave would actually be shorter and not extend past wave 3. It's rare, but it does happen. It can also happen in a bull market. A lot of people will think that, fifth wave has to go well past wave 3 or something extreme like this, right? But you can get caught off guard because you can look this up. A bear market truncation, truncation, I believe. And you can, it will stop short. This will complete the fifth wave. So this is a possibility, right? You have this possibility, which we would maybe go down to 20K again. And then that would be the end. And then what? then we'd start a new cycle. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen in the next 30 days, but it could be something like this even, right? It could be in December, November, right? We could just trend sideways, roughly sideways, something like that. We could obviously do this as well, but there's two options. Both are possible. So realize that. Don't get in the head that like you see this fifth wave, 5 waves happening, and we have to go much lower. This is an accurate thing, and it could happen, and it could happen this time, right? How much predictive patterns have we followed so far, right? It's been a little bit different than any time in history, and this would be mind-blowing to a lot of people if this happened, right? So that's one possibility. What's another one? That we're in an ABC correction, right? This was wave 3 here, wave 4 down, wave 5 up, and then ABC, right? So let's show that. I'm sure you all know your alphabet by now, but here would be like A, then B up, and then C. Now, what would that mean? What if this was playing out, right? Then more than likely we'd be starting some kind of wave 1, right? That's another possibility. You need to have that in the back of your mind as well, as greater than 0 chance of happening, right? Not saying likely on any of this, just saying you want to be having the most options in your brain so that if you see something happening, at least you're prepared for said thing. So that's my 2 cents on that. Okay, so having said that, hopefully you guys are finding this useful in some way, shape, or form. Let's go look at the DXY. I know that's on a lot of people's minds as well. DXY, what do we got here? Well, on the weekly, we should start with the weekly. Let me remove these lines here. I only got a few more minutes, so I wanted to just do an impromptu live stream, but I'm going to stay on here as long as I can here, as long as I get some interaction here. Let me look at the chat here real quick. Yeah, hit the like button if you haven't already. All right, so DXY on the weekly. Might as well start with the bigger picture, right? We were down here like a day ago. Yesterday, we were all the way down here, and that was going to be good, because if the DXY drops, crypto rocks, right? My retarded slogan. All right, so but now we have a recovery, right? We have a recovery. If we close this weekly candle today. Remember, the DXY closes on Fridays, New York time, right? Follows the stock market, right? So there's less than 7 hours till we close here, right? The number in the sand, line in the sand, 105.76. You see it in the red there, right? So if we close above that, it's still very bullish for the DXY, right? This would just be a healthy pullback and a reload, if you will, and then ready to shoot some more shots, right? And then if we break out, right, let's zoom in on the daily a little bit. So it was starting to kind of stumble here, and that was some good signs, and it still hasn't really recovered just yet, because we've closed. We're just starting to do some things we haven't done in a while, right? Look at the moving averages, right? Look at the moving average. The EMA 8 crossed down, right? We're starting to get this recovery. I feel like we're either going to, hit big or, break through back to the upside bigly, or get rejected here in the next, handful of hours. Here's the 21-day EMA 106. So I'd be looking for that to flip more bullish for the DXY or reject. If we reject, crypto can certainly continue up. If we break through, crypto is probably going to be put on hold. That Bitcoin daily candle that printed yesterday would probably hold true, and then we probably start to roll over here. So watch these moving averages on Bitcoin. Watch the DXY, right? They're both have a lot to do with each other. So watch that on the daily. The weekly close is going to be the key for the DXY for the next probably several weeks on the crypto markets, I would say. It has to close above that, right? I guess it doesn't have to, right? But we closed one here and then an immediate recovery. We're starting to look sketchy on the DXY, but is it a fake out, right? So we have a lot of up thrust is here, right? Down thrust is here. So we're pushing us up, right? This is so far been just a fake out. We want to watch for this close, okay? That's 6.5 hours. So check that, tonight or tomorrow morning, wherever you are in the world. Yeah, someone said we need to form a true bottom. Yeah, true bottoms really just take a long time. I mean, look at 2018, right? It doesn't recover that quick. It needs some time to just basically trend sideways, slightly down, slightly up. Those are consolidation zones, and likely we're gonna have another couple months of just kind of boringness. That's most likely, right? Doesn't mean we have to get that, but that's kind of the likely scenario, at least in my book, that we just need to kind of trend up and down, ebb and flows, whether or not we go up to 28K, 30K, and then, kind of fizzle back out for the remainder of the year. Maybe, right? We could do something like that. Just move up and then, kind of fizzle back down, right? We don't have to hit a harsh rejection. We could just range bound in here for weeks to months, right? Link fund. I appreciate it, Johnny. Yeah, the DXY we need to print a weekly candle under that 8 week, and then see some follow through. We have not seen any follow through yet on that DXY, right? And we need to we're really kind of at a pivotal time here for the next several weeks. Is the DXY going to if it closes above 106, the likely scenario is continued uptrend, right? There's no kind of bearishness showing here at all. We're attempting to, start to show signs, but, we did back here as well. Until we start, moving down and crossing these moving averages back to the downside, right? Just like we did back in 2020. That's it. Crypto's not going to go anywhere, right? This is how it works, right? Any kind of bull market for crypto has been met with a fall down of the DXY, right? Look at 2017. What was crypto doing in 2017, right? We're having the best bull run in a while, right? So look at the DXY, right? And then when did we stop, right? January of 2018. That's when DXY started rising, and crypto struggles, right? To say the least. Again, when did we start doing great? In 2020, 2021, right? The DXY is falling. When do we start doing shit in crypto? The DXY is rising. So our next bull run will be met with a harsh fall, something like this, right? This is what we're looking for. Something like January 2017, a just catastrophic fall down, retest, and just lower highs on a weekly scale. That's what we got to watch for. And so far, we're making higher highs on the weekly scale. Looks like the start of a Bitcoin bull run, right? If you flip it on the side, this is what we need now. This is what we need, right? We need this to happen. This is the inverse chart of the DXY. So we need it to go back that way, right? So Market Wizard, what's up? Asian Punk is one of my first subscribers from 2 years ago. Definitely my top 10 subscriber right there. What's up, man? Yeah, the neon sign's holding up. Link's all right. Let's go take a look at Link. We can go down and look at some of the other coins. What do we got going on here? I did a Link video, I think a day or two ago, but this is what we got on the weekly chart. We're coming up to the 21 week. A lot of coins are coming up. Let me zoom in here, make this easier to see. So on Chainlink, we're kind of got at a double double resistance, so it's not good, right? Not only that, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 green weeks in a row. Not to say we can't continue, but we have this top here. We have so far resistance at that same top. We have not been able to clear, 965. At the same time, that's also right near the 21 week EMA. So just keep that in mind. Good things that we, closed 1, 2, working on our third week, closing above the EMA 8. That's the red line. So that's good things. But until we clear this top, until we close above the 21 week EMA, I'm still hesitant. Now let's look at this zone up here. Let's zoom into the daily. For Chainlink, put it back on auto here. And why this zone? Well, that's really the next zone that we have to look at, right? It's a big zone, right? 11 to 13. So the consolidation for Bitcoin was kind of roughly in this area. So if Bitcoin gets up to like 28 to 30K, I would expect Chainlink to make a move into this zone as well. So here's our 200-day moving average in the orange. Recognize that that is also at the beginning of this resistance zone. So Chainlink has many very tall hurdles to jump if we want to get back bullish again. Now, if you see Chainlink, rocking over $13, then it's doing bigly things, and that shouldn't be taken lightly. But realize that, baby hurdle here is not so baby, and big hurdle here is very bigly. So those are some two big obstacles to overcome and push through on the weekly big picture. But, I do like this kind of cup pattern forming. So maybe we take a break and then, break out, going into early September, maybe we can push through all this crap. Obviously, depending on what Bitcoin does, but, Chainlink's making some moves when other altcoins are kind of, standing still, as you can see today, right? Link's up 3.5%. Not much else is doing anything, okay? That's kind of what I got on that for Chainlink. All right, any other questions? Do Luna. That's a good one. I lost a bunch on Luna. Yeah, Ethereum is doing good. Ethereum's doing better than most, right? Ethereum's done like a more than a 2x in not that long for one of the the biggest of the alts, right? We're kind of at a push zone right now. Are we going to reject or push through, right? We really need to clear kind of the 2K level, and psychologically for Ethereum is big. But if we get them in that level, realize look at the 200-day here, right? That's the daily chart for Ethereum. We're doing good things, but again, look at where we are. We've already wicked off of and held resistance. We've tapped on the 21-week EMA so far, resistance. So, and also keep in mind 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 green weeks in a row. After a let's see what this rally is, right? This is a pretty good rally so far. 115% move in a couple months is pretty solid out of, the number 2 asset in crypto. Maybe soon to be number 1. What do you think about the flippening? Yeah, that's a good question. I think that's speculation. It's up for debate. Someone asked any thoughts on old coins like Stellar. There's several like Stellar, right, that didn't kind of have a great run last time, right, and kind of got stuck in the mud. Are they now dogs? Well, I would say there's more of a case for that, for sure. There's more of evidence that could continue, right? So you don't really want to stay on coins that aren't performing, right? I think we're all here to make the most money, so you want to stick to the charts that are performing the best. So yeah, that might mean more work on your part, and might mean you have to jump ship from your favorite project. If it's not doing great or didn't do good last market, do you want to really risk doing that again the next cycle? That's up on you. There's coins probably being developed right now that will do very well next cycle that very few people or no one has even heard of yet, right? There'll be other coins that that did 10x last time that'll do 10x again this time, right? There'll be some coins that did maybe, I'm not saying stellar exactly, but there'll be coins like that fail to ever make a new all-time high again. So just because your coin, didn't do much last cycle doesn't mean it does or doesn't have to do something this cycle. I'm just saying, like, why ride the boat if the motor is the same? I don't know. You feel me? So just if they're working on projects, right, like Chainlink's doing things that hasn't it behind the scenes, right? I'm not talking about the price, but for projects that are doing massive things or not even close to the same project that they were a year ago or 2 years ago, and they're like Chainlink, right? They might have a future, right? And I say might, right? There's a real risk of riding the same ship into a different storm that might perform the same, right? So hopefully that makes sense. Just be careful, continuing to hold the same thing, because it could just trend sideways for a decade, right? All right, I think I gotta wrap this up. I'll try to do a longer one next time. I see some request to end here shortly. But I'll do a couple more. And then we'll do more. This is pretty good for a bear market and just for a random impromptu Friday. I think this is better than I expected. So right, you got to weigh the pros and cons for what the projects are doing. Right, that's on you. But if I think we're all here for the max profits. So just choose your boats cautiously going to the next cycle. Yeah, we just did Chainlink. You can just rewind it. We did Chainlink. We've done Ethereum, Bitcoin, DXY. We've done all that. Got some good stuff in the beginning for Bitcoin, and go check that out. Appreciate y'all being here. Oh, can you hear my dog? Thank the delivery guys here, UPS. Um, yeah, we're gonna have to. I'm gonna have to wrap it up. I have to go, but I'll do more of these. I appreciate you guys being on. Thank you so much for tuning in for Friday. Watch this again if you need to. Again, Bitcoin, DXY, Chainlink. Uh, yeah, and we'll try to plan more of these, maybe like a Wednesday or something like that. Leave me a comment on this. What days work best for you? What times? I appreciate you tuning in. I'll catch you all on the next one. And that's it. Sorry, I have to go. And I'll be back on the next one. Leave me a comment on one of my videos if you're not on here. If you're watching this at a later date, I appreciate you. And I'll see you on the next one.